Hi, welcome to this lunchtime stretch and strengthen yoga class. So we'll be starting in a seated position today, and you might like to have a couple of props, maybe 2 blocks if you've got them, otherwise you can use a couple of books, and you may also like to have something like towels, some extra padding for the knees, because we will be on the knees for a little bit today. So just grab those, place them to one side, and then make your way down to a comfortable seat. You can sit cross-legged if you like, maybe placing the hands on the knees, and you can maybe close the eyes or soften the gaze. We'll just spend a moment here checking in with the body, starting at the crown of the head and just scanning down, noticing whether you hold any tension or tightness anywhere, and just take note and move on to the next body part. Making your way all the way down to the toes. Being mindful not to judge at any point. You just want to notice anything that comes up and then move on to the next body part. And when you finally arrive at the toes, you can start to bring your awareness to your breath. Just following the breath as it enters the body and exits the body. Maybe noticing whether the chest rises or the ribs expand. Maybe the belly expands on the inhale. And then noticing whether the belly softens, the ribs fall, or the chest falls on the exhale. And just continuing to follow your natural breath. We'll take 3 deep breaths. When you're ready, inhaling through the nose, feel the belly expand, and then exhale, sigh it out the mouth. Let it go, let all that stale air out the body. We'll do that 2 more times. So inhale through the nose, feel the belly expand, and then on the exhale, sigh out the mouth. Get rid of all that stale air. And last time, inhale, exhale. And then just let your breath return back to its natural rhythm. And then if you've got the eyes closed, you can just gently blink them open. And we will begin our practice. So we'll start with some hip rolls. So just bringing the torso over the right knee, drawing it around the front to the left knee, and rounding through the back as you come backwards. So just taking these nice big circles, opening through the chest as you come forward and rounding through the back. Bring the chin to the chest as you come back. So just do that a few times. Starting to waken up the hips and the spine, and then switch directions. You might hear a few cracks or pops, that's perfectly fine. And then just coming back to centre, and from here we'll do a couple of neck stretches, so just dropping the right ear over the right shoulder, staying here if you like, or you might like to place the fingertips on the left side of the head, Maybe sending the left hand out towards the left side. You can start to flex those fingers in towards the body if you like, so this deepens the stretch. And just taking a few deep breaths here. And then on the next inhale, support the head, come back up to center. We'll take that on the opposite side. So left ear over left shoulder this time. Maybe placing the fingertips on the side of the head. Maybe sending that right arm out to the side and flexing the fingers towards the body. Again, nice deep breaths here. Just letting gravity deepen you into the stretch. And then on the next inhale, support the head, come back up to center. We'll take a couple of shoulder rolls. So on the inhale, drawing the shoulders all the way up towards the ears. And on the exhale, just draw them down the back. 2 more times. Inhale, draw the shoulders up towards the ears. And exhale down the back. Last time, inhale. And exhale down the back. Now see if you can notice during the practice whether your shoulders do come up towards your ears at all. Just see if you can roll them down the back and just hold them there. We do have a tendency to hold tension in our shoulders, so it's good to be aware of this. From here we'll move into a side stretch. So just placing the left hand down on the floor and inhaling to reach the right arm up and over, palm facing down. You can stay here, or you might like to come onto the forearm, just keeping the right hip glued down to the floor. And then inhale, bring both arms up overhead, and exhale, take it to the opposite side. And inhale, bring both arms up overhead, moving into a twist. We'll take the right hand to the left knee, left hand behind us. On the next inhale, we'll lengthen through the spine. And on the exhale, send the gaze over the left shoulder. Then inhale, come back to center, bringing both arms up and overhead. And exhale, heading the opposite way. On the next inhale, lengthen through the spine. And exhale, sending the gaze over the right shoulder. Then inhale, coming back up, bring the arms up overhead. From here, we'll interlace the fingers and then draw the palms so they're facing upwards. Start to push through the palms to get a nice stretch through the fingers. And then drawing the hands forward, drawing the shoulder blades back. It's continuing to warm up the shoulder blades. And then release the arms, bring the hands behind you, interlacing the fingers, either drawing the palms together or you can have them loose. It will depend on how tight you are through the chest. And start to draw the hands down towards the floor so you start to open up through the chest. See if you can draw the navel in so we're not flaring through the ribs too much. We've got some nice core strength going on. And then on the exhale, you can either stay here or you can start to hinge forward at the hips, drawing the hands up. Just holding it here for a round of breath. And then gently releasing the arms, bringing them out in front, dropping the head down. Keep those sitting bones grounded. So you get a nice stretch through the back, maybe dropping the head down, get a stretch through the neck. You can take some soft movements with the head if you like. And then just gently starting to walk the hands back up. So from there we'll move into our all fours position. So just coming forward, stacking the shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees. And from here we'll take a few cat-cows. So on the inhale, drop the belly down, lift the gaze. And exhale, round through the spine, chin to chest, pull that navel in. Inhale, coming up for our cow. Exhale, navel to spine, chin to chest for our cat. Last time, inhale to come up. Exhale, rounding back down. And on the next inhale, just come back to our neutral spine. From here, you can start to make some small movements if you like. Just make those movements nice and organic. So feeling into any areas you might hold tightness. Maybe taking some big circles with the hips. Maybe just rocking backwards and forwards. Or maybe looking towards the toes, getting a bit of a stretch through the side. This gives us an opportunity to really just feel into the body and see what our body needs today. Maybe we've been sitting down all day at work and we just want to release some tension in some areas of the body. Or maybe we've been running around after our kids. Or maybe driving. And when you're ready, just make your way back to ortho's position. Maybe check in the alignment again, so shoulders stacked over wrists, hips over knees. From here, we'll take a spinal balance. We'll start by sending the right hand forward, palm facing towards the left. And then send the left leg out long. And imagine that you've got a string between your middle finger and the arch of your foot, and you're just being pulled apart. So nice, strong, straight spine. Hips are parallel to the floor, so sometimes we have a tendency to lift that left hip to see if we can draw it down. Pulling the navel in. And from there, we'll bring our elbow to the knee, round through the back. And then inhale to extend. Exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, extend. One last time, exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, extend. And then just placing that hand back down. Taking a moment to adjust yourself here. We will be on the knees for a little bit here, so I did mention earlier that if you get sore knees, you might like to have some padding. This is the perfect time for that. Sorry, I should have mentioned that before. So we'll move on to the opposite side now. So once you're set up, we'll send the left arm out long, palm facing in, and then right leg out. Imagining again that you've been pulled apart, so nice straight spine. Holding it here. And then on the next exhale, draw that elbow to the knee. Inhale, extend. Exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, extend. Exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, extend. And then just placing that hand and that knee back down. We'll walk the hands up, come onto the knees here, bring our hands behind us, fingertips pointing down. And start to draw the elbows together, so you're starting to open up through the chest. We'll just push the hips forward slightly, so get a nice stretch through the hip flexors. We're not going too far, so this is our baby camel pose. And the gaze can be up if that feels okay for the neck. And then exhale, slowly coming back up. From here, we'll move into Gait Pose. So sending the left leg out to the side, toes pointed forward. And on the inhale, reaching the arms up. Really start to spread through the fingers, reaching up towards the ceiling. And on the exhale, the left hand comes down towards the left side, right arm comes over, palm facing down. Now notice here if you start to round forward and see if you can just draw that shoulder up so we get a nice opening through the chest. Holding it here. And then inhale, bringing both arms up. From there, on the next exhale, place the right hand down to the floor. The left hand can be up towards the ceiling, or you can rotate the palm forward and send that arm towards the ear, palm facing down. This just extends the stretch through the side body, completely optional. And you can stay here if you like, or you can try and lift that left leg off the floor, starting to engage the muscles in the hip. Hold it here for a nice deep breath. And then exhale, place that foot back down, bring both arms up and overhead. And exhale, release, stepping that left knee in. I'll take that on the opposite side now, so right leg comes out, toes pointing forward. On the next inhale, reaching the arms up. And exhale, right hand down, right leg, right left arm comes over, palm facing down. Nice deep breaths here. Maybe you notice this side feels slightly different to the other, and that's perfectly fine. Then inhale to bring both arms back up. Exhale, left hand down to the floor, right arm either up towards the ceiling, gaze can be up or down, or rotate that palm forward, bring it up towards the ear. Staying here, or if you want to challenge yourself a bit more, you can try and lift that right leg off the floor. Nice deep breaths here. And then exhale, slowly placing the hands back down, bringing the arms up and overhead, reaching through the fingers. And then exhale, releasing it all back down. We'll move back into our all fours position. So once we're happy with our alignment, we'll tuck the toes. Start to really push into the hands, so pushing the knuckle of the fingers down into the ground. Feel the whole hand grounded with the floor. And then draw that navel in and just lift the knees to hover. And we'll hold it for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And slowly place them back down. You can untuck the toes if you like, maybe come back for a gentle child's pose, bringing the forehead down to the floor. Arms stretched out long, tailbone down towards the heels. And then coming back up for our all fours position. Again, we'll start to push into the whole hand, pushing the knuckles down, checking our shoulders stacked over the wrists, tucking the toes, and we'll lift the knees off the floor again. But this time we'll continue to lift the hips up and back, coming into downwards dog. You may want to readjust the feet, maybe stepping them back slightly. Checking that your hands are still pushing into the floor. Hands are about shoulder distance apart. You can be up on the toes here, maybe walking the dog. It's our first one of the day, so just bending and straightening one leg at a time. You can start to move into the hips. Maybe looking under opposite armpits. And only when you're ready, coming into your static dog. Maybe you keep the bend in the knees. If you've got tight hamstrings, then this might be an option for you. Otherwise, you can start to push the heels down towards the floor, keeping the tailbone lifting up towards the ceiling and keeping the whole hand pressing into the floor. From here, on the inhale, we'll lift the left leg up for three-legged dog. And then exhale, draw that knee in towards the nose as you bring the weight forward. Hold it here. And exhale, see if you can plant that foot down in between the hands. You might need to use your left hand to just help your foot get there, that's perfectly fine. And then drop the back knee down, untucking the toes. So we're in a low lunge position. Check your knees in line with the ankle. And we want to start drawing the right hip forward, left hip back, so your hips are nice and in line here. And then just start to move into this pose. So you might start to feel the hips, get a nice stretch. And on the next exhale, we'll just draw the hips back, straightening that front leg. Staying with the hands forward, you might like to walk the hands back. You may even like to come all the way back to a sitting, so if you're sitting on your back heel, whatever feels good for you. And we'll just start to move between these poses, so coming forward into our low lunge, and then coming back into our half splits pose. So just continuing to Waking up those muscles with these dynamic movements. Just seeing what your body wants. And then when you're ready, making your way back to your low lunge position. From here, on the inhale, we'll reach the arms up. Gaze is up if it feels okay for the neck. Hands can be at shoulder distance apart. And on the exhale, bring the palms together and draw them down in front of the chest. Moving into a twist here. So on the exhale, bring in the torso towards the left side and see if you can hook that elbow on the outside of the left knee. Start to push into the hands to deepen into the twist. And you can stay here. You might like to see if you can lift that back knee off the floor. Maybe testing the balance a little bit here. A bit of a stretch into the back of the leg. And then if you've got the knee lifted, you can try to keep the knee lifted as we move back around into our lunge position, bring the hands up and overhead. If you've got the knee on the floor, then just moving back into our low lunge. Move the knee down. Holding it here. And then exhale, dropping the knee down if you haven't got down already. And exhale, bring the hands back down to the floor and tuck in the back toe if you've got it tucked. From here, walk the left foot so it's on the outside of the left hand. Toes are pointing out about 45 degrees. Moving into our lizard's pose. So dropping the hips down as much as you like. And again, you might like to take some organic movements here. So maybe moving backwards, maybe bringing the weight forwards. You can come onto forearms if you like. Or maybe bring the left hand to the left thigh, just opening up the hips towards the left. So just taking these little movements. And when you're ready, we'll just come back and stay in a static lizard pose, just for a few rounds of breath. And after the next exhale, tucking the back toes, lifting that foot off the ground. See if you can lift that left foot up and back and arrive back into our three-legged dog. And then gently just place the left foot back on the floor. Readjust yourself if you need. We'll be here for 3 deep breaths before we move on to the other side. This pose is really great for stretching out the back of the body and also building strength in the upper body. And after the next exhale, we'll lift the right leg up this time, a three-legged dog. And then bending at the knee, start to bring that knee forward towards the nose, weight forward. And then exhale, see if you can plant the right foot in between the hands at the front of the mat. Again, maybe helping your foot get there if you need. And then dropping the back knee down and tucking the toes. And just taking a moment here in this low lunge. So checking your hips are in line. So maybe just pulling that left hip forward, that right hip back so it draws those hips nice and in line. You can pull back with the front heel, so feel the muscles in the leg engage. We want this pose to be a nice active pose. And when you're ready, we'll start with those more organic, dynamic movements now. So bringing the hips back, straightening that front leg, coming back as high or as low as you like. And just moving through these poses. Of course, if you feel like you want to stay in one of the poses even longer and really start to stretch or get into the muscles in those, in one of those poses, and feel free to do that. This is your practice. You want to do what your body feels like it needs. That's going to be different for everyone. It may even be different on each side. And when you're ready, just making your way back to your low lunge position. And on the inhale, we'll reach the arms up, gazes up. And exhale, draw the hands together, bring them down and prayer in front of the chest. Moving into that twist again. On the exhale, start to bring the left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Push into the hands to get deeper into the twist. We're aiming for our elbows stacked on top of each other, so a nice straight line. Don't worry if you're not there, it's just what we're working towards. And then if you would like to test your balance today, you can try lifting that back knee off the floor and taking a few nice deep breaths here. Either with the knee lifted or on the ground, we'll slowly unwind, bring the arms up and overhead, arriving into our lunge position. Holding it here for a nice couple of deep breaths. And after the next exhale, if you've got the knee lifted gently, just placing it back on the floor, untucking the toes and bring the hands down to frame that foot. So we'll move into our lizard position now. So just start to walk the right foot out. So the foot's about 45 degrees, with the toes pointing out 45 degrees. Foot's on the outside of the right hand. And we can make some movements here. Again, you might like to stay in this pose as it is, maybe even lifting the back knee off the floor. Otherwise, just taking those movements that you feel like your body needs. And once you've taken those movements, coming back to your static lizard pose, and we'll hold the pose for a few deep breaths. Take in whichever option is good for you. You can always use your blocks here to support your forearms if you need. And coming onto your hands, pushing into the whole hand. Tucking the back toes if you've not got them tucked. So if you can lift that front foot up and back for three-legged dog. Placing that foot back down on the floor. And we'll hold our downwards dog for 3 deep breaths. And after the next exhale, slowly just start to walk the hands backwards. Coming into a forward fold position. Maybe taking opposite hands to opposite elbows, releasing the head and the neck down. You can move side to side if you like here. Maybe shaking the head out, yes or no. And when you're ready, releasing the hands, we'll roll up to standing, stacking one vertebrae at a time, leaving the head to last. Rolling the shoulders down and back when we get there. Maybe doing that a couple of times if you like. So from there we'll move into our standing sequence, so just moving to the front of the mat or making sure you've got enough room behind you. You might like to have a couple of blocks to one side. We'll be taking a pose called Konasana, and blocks can sometimes help with that. So standing with our feet about hip distance apart, hands down by the side. And we'll start by setting up by just lifting all 10 toes off the floor and feeling all 4 corners of the foot grounding down. And then gently placing the toes back down. And we'll start with the left leg, so stepping the left foot back, coming onto the ball of the left foot. Bringing our hands to our hips, checking our hips are in line. And once we're happy there, inhaling to reach the arms up. Exhale, dropping the heel, back heel down, opening out towards the left, dropping the hands down to the shoulder height, palms facing down, and gazes out over the front fingertips. Glancing down at your knee, checking that it's not coming in, see if you can just make sure it's stuffed over the ankle. And notice whether our shoulders are drawing up towards our ears, and see if we can round or draw them down the back. From here, rotate that front hand so it's facing up, drop the back hand down and sweep that hand up for a reverse warrior. Inhale to come back up for warrior 2. And exhale, come forward, drop the front hand or front forearm down on the thigh, sweep the left arm up. Fingertips can be up, we can rotate the palm forward and bring it up and over, palm facing down. Notice if you're rounding forward, see if you can open up the chest. That might mean coming out of it slightly, and that's perfectly fine as well. Breathing here. And then start to straighten that front leg, bring the top arm so it's pointing towards the ceiling, opening up the bottom arm. And this is where you might like to have your block to support you. So resting the fingertips there, whatever height feels good for you. And if you feel any tingling in the arm, or you can always bring that hand down to the waist, just working towards opening up that chest. Gaze can be down or it can be up. And after the next exhale, start to bend through that front knee, draw the navel in and make your way back up to warrior 2. Inhale to come around on the ball of the back foot, swing that front arm forward for a high lunge. And then exhale, drop the back hand down, the left hand forward. Gaze can be towards the back thumb. Inhale, back up for a high lunge. And from here, we'll bring the weight forward into that front leg and see if you can lift that back leg up and in front without touching the floor. If you can, engaging the muscles in the left leg, right leg, sorry. So from here, we'll take a balancing pose known as tree pose, so either placing or opening the hip towards the left, be mindful of your balance, and placing the heel against the ankle, the foot against the calf, or maybe the inner thigh. Just being careful to avoid the knee area, keeping the hip open out towards the side. And finding your dristi, your spot to gaze on, can help with this pose and the balance. Maybe bringing the hands together in prayer. Maybe bringing the hands above the head. Maybe bringing the arms out so they're like branches of a tree. Seeing whether you can keep the muscles in the leg and the outer hip engaged, so we're not dumping into the hip. The muscles of the leg are nice and strong, so we're really lifting it up. And on the exhale, release, bring it back down, arriving back in our starting pose, our Tadasana. Feet hip distance apart, arms down by the side. And just taking a few breaths here to notice how the body feels. So we'll do the same sequence on the other side now. So this time stepping back with the right foot, coming onto the ball of that right foot. Keeping our knees stacked over the ankle. And on the inhale, reaching the arms up, gaze can be up. Exhale, drop the back heel down, toes are up about 45 degrees, opening up towards the right, bringing the arms down to shoulder height, gaze is forward. Dropping the back hand down, rotate the front palm forward, sweep that front arm up and over for a reverse warrior. And then inhale back up, warrior two. Hinge forward at the hips, bring that forearm down, sweep the right arm up, maybe bringing it over. And then maybe take a new block, we'll start to straighten through that front leg, bring the top arm so it's pointing towards the ceiling, start to open up the bottom arm, moving into Konasana. Gaze can be up or it can be down towards the floor. Be careful not to lock that front leg, we still want to keep a slight bend in the knee. And start to bend through that front leg, make your way back up for warrior two. Gaze is forward. Inhale, sweep that back arm forward, come onto the ball of the back foot, arriving in our high lunge. Exhale, back hand, left hand back, right hand forward. Gaze can be towards the thumb. Can be a little bit more difficult for the balance. And then inhale, back to high lunge. And from here, we'll start to bring that weight forward into the front leg. See if you can pick that back foot up, bringing it forward. And we'll move into our tree pose, opening up the leg to the right and placing the heel or the foot along the leg, just avoiding that knee area. Finding a spot to gaze, bringing the hands maybe to the chest in prayer. Maybe bringing them up. Maybe taking your arms out to the side. Making sure the muscles in the left leg are nice and strong. And of course, if you fall out of the pose, that's no worries, just slowly come into it again. And after the next exhale, just slowly bring it back down, arriving into our mountain pose, Tadasana, arms down by our side. Taking a moment here before we move down to the floor. So to move down to the floor, we'll start to roll forward. So just bringing the arms forward, dropping the head down, rolling down. Feeling a nice stretch through the back. Start to really bend the knees, maybe coming onto the balls of the feet, coming forward. So we're making our way into a very small ball. If this doesn't work for you, then just come down to a forward fold and then make your way onto the floor. Otherwise, if you're in your ball of yarn pose, you can take the arms around the knees, maybe drop the head down. So this is a bit of a balancing pose as well, and a bit of a stretch through the back and the neck. As you breathe here, see if you can feel the back of the ribs expand. And then when you're ready, just making your way down onto the floor, bringing the legs out in front of us. So if you've got quite tight hips, you might like to sit on maybe a rolled up blanket here. This can just help tilt the hips forward a bit more for this next pose. So we'll bring the legs out wide, only as wide as what feels good for you. If you feel any pain, then just come in a little bit. And then bringing the hands forward in front of us, keeping our back nice and straight. We'll just start to walk the hands forward. And then we'll walk the hands over towards the left leg, framing that left foot. Keeping the toes pulling in towards the knee, keeping the muscles engaged. And you can walk the hands down as much as feels good for you, trying to keep that back nice and straight. And breathe here. And then slowly walking the hands back up, walking them back to centre. We'll do the same on the other side, so walking the hands forward. And then walk them around to frame the opposite foot. Again, maybe coming up a little bit, or maybe just walking down. And holding it here. And then gently walking the hands back up. Support the legs as you bring them into center. Bring the soles of the feet together, so moving into Konasana, or butterfly pose. You can have the feet out as far as what feels good for you, or as in as close as it feels good for you. And we'll just take our hands around the feet, or maybe holding the ankles, drawing the shoulders down, opening up through the chest. See if you can feel the hips open at all here. And just breathe here. And you can stay here, or if you like, you can start to walk the hands forward, maybe dropping the head down, coming into a bit of a forward fold. And inhale to walk the hands back up. We'll be making our way onto our backs now, so just making sure you've got enough room behind you. Bring the soles of the feet to the floor, hands out in front, palms facing each other. See if you can draw the navel in and come back to the floor slowly with control, keeping the feet down on the floor for as long as possible. Bringing the arms up and overhead. And moving into a full body stretch, stretching through the fingers, through the arms, through the toes. And exhale, release, let it all go. So we'll take a bridge pose now, so bring the soles of the feet to the floor. You want your feet about hip distance apart. Hands can be down by the side, or you can bring the hands up, so the upper arms on the floor, but hands are facing each other. This just works your stability a little bit more, so engages the core a little bit more. And we'll start by just tucking the tailbone up, so you can feel the tailbone lift off the floor. And then continue to roll all the way up, moving into your bridge pose. Notice if the knees are coming out, so if you can draw the knees together, keep them hip distance apart. You want about an apple distance between your chin and your chest, so you're not crunching through the neck at all. And we'll just hold it here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now we'll drop the hips down slightly and we'll start to pulse for 10, 9, 8, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And slowly rolling it back down, leaving the tailbone to last. If you like, you can draw the knees in towards the chest, and maybe just rock side to side, releasing any tension in the lower back. Right. So you've got one more core exercise for us. Just keeping the lower back pushing into the floor, navel drawing in. If you feel your lower back lifting or arching at any point, then just come out of it, reset and start again. Arms can be down by the side, or you can interlace the fingers behind the head, keeping the elbows out nice and wide. And from there, we'll just lift the knees off the floor, keeping that lower back pushing down. And we'll just tap the left heel on the floor, keeping the right heel lifted. And then just bring that heel back up. And then do the same with the other side. So we'll do that about 10 times, making sure you're keeping the lower back pushing into the floor. So this exercise is working our transverse abs. They're the deep core muscle that surrounds and protects the spine, so a really important muscle for the core. And this exercise is isolating that muscle. Just need to make sure we draw the navel in and keep that lower back pushing into the floor. And I think we go about 4 left. 3, 2, 1. Release, bring those knees in, take the hands to the tops of the knees, and maybe just make some little circles in one direction and in the other direction. Right? So from there, interlace the hands around the left shin, send the right leg out long, and start to draw that left knee in towards the armpit. Keep the toes pointing in towards the knee, so keeping those muscles in the legs engaged. And then from there, send the left arm out long, palm facing down. Keep the left shoulder grounded. Take the right hand to the outside of the left knee and just start to draw that leg across the body, moving into a twist. Gaze can be up, or you can send the gaze out towards the left fingertips. Get a bonus stretch through the neck. And remember to keep breathing here. The knee of the left leg can be lifted off the floor, that's perfectly fine. Of course, if you've got a block or something nearby, you can always place that under the knee. Or maybe a towel, if that feels better. And then inhale, draw that knee back in. Bring both soles of the feet to the floor now. Lift the left leg up and cross the left ankle over the right knee and start to open up that left thigh towards the left side. You can stay here, or you can lift the right leg off the floor, maybe interlacing the fingers around the back of the thigh, maybe around the front of the shin. Just keeping the toes flexing towards the knee and opening up the left leg towards the left. So this is a really great stretch for the outer hip muscle, the piriformis muscle. And exhale, slowly release the hands back down and across the legs. And take those stretches on the opposite side now. So bringing the right knee in towards the body, interlacing the hands around the shin. Maybe sending the left leg out long and start to draw that knee in towards the armpit. And take some nice deep breaths here. Just letting the breath return to normal. Letting the heart rate just slow down. And then right hand can come out towards the right side, palm facing down, left hand to the outside of the left knee. Just start to draw that knee across the body, moving into our twist. Keeping both shoulders grounded on the floor. Gaze up towards the ceiling, or maybe out towards the right. And inhale, slowly draw the knees back in. Place both soles of the feet on the floor. Lifting the right leg up, place the ankle over the left knee, open up towards the thigh to the right, And then maybe lift the left foot off the floor, maybe interlacing fingers around the leg. Keeping the head on the floor. And exhale slowly, release the feet, release the legs. We'll move into our final resting pose in a moment, so just taking any movements that you might like to take, so maybe dropping the knees to one side and the other, maybe taking some movements through the back, whatever you feel like you need. And when you're ready, just making your way into Shavasana, maybe sending the legs out long, arms to the side, palms facing up. Or you can have the soles of the feet on the floor, mat distance apart, and let the knees fall in towards each other. And we'll just take a moment here to scan back through the body, starting like we did at the start of the class, at the top of the head, scanning down, noticing whether there's any tension in the body, noticing whether anything feels different to the start of the class, and just making your way down without judgment, finally arriving at your toes. And if your mind wanders at all, just bring the focus back to your scanning down. And once you finally arrive at the toes, just bring the focus back to the breath. Just following the breath as it moves in and out of the body. I'll start to let go of the attention on the breath and start to bring your awareness to sounds around the body. Maybe you can hear cars moving outside, maybe your neighbours, maybe the sound of birds, the dog, the cat. And you can start to make some small movements if you like, maybe moving the fingers, the toes, the hands, the feet, the wrists and the ankles. You might like to gently rock your head side to side, massaging the back of the head. Maybe even drawing the knees in towards the chest, hugging them in. Maybe rocking side to side there. And gently, when you're ready, you can start to make your way up to a seated position, taking as long as you like to get there. And if you've got your eyes closed, you can gently blink them open. And we'll just end this practice by taking 3 deep breaths together, just as we start the class. So inhaling through the nose and exhale, sighing it out the mouth. So we'll do that together 3 times. Inhaling, exhale. 2 more times. Inhale, exhale. And last time, inhale, exhale. And that brings us to the end of this class. I hope you enjoyed it, and I thank you for you're practicing with me today.